For me, as a gunpla builder, there's one Master Grade kit I've meant to build for so long, but for some reason I've never gotten around to it, and it's always seemed like a bit of a legendary kit. Back in 2011, I moved to Japan, where I was living and working for about 6 or 7 years. And during that time is when I got heavily into gunpla. It's pretty much unavoidable, honestly. Gunpla is everywhere. Little corner shops, electrical stores, stationery shops, malls, it is pretty much on every corner. You're almost probably less than a kilometer away from your nearest gunpla dealing store. It is that insane. So eventually those absolutely awesome Master Grade box arts are going to win you over and you're going to grab one. And that is exactly what really got me into gunpla, the Master Grades. Back then, basically, I was either looking around Japan at cool stuff, going to work, or building gunpla. And when I was going to work, if I had any downtime, I'd spend my time googling what to buy next. And for me back then, there was 2 websites that always stood out to me the most. That was Gunpla Inochi, as well as Gaijin Gunpla. They're the ones I would always go back to see what I wanted to buy next. And the Master Grade Sword Impulse Gundam for me seemed like it was extremely prevalent on both of those. If I'm not mistaken, it was the top rated kit by Sid on Gaijin Gunpla for a long time. I'm not actually able to fact check that because that website seems to be gone. I'm not sure what's going on there. If you guys know whatever happened there, please drop it down in the comments. I'm super curious. But between those 2 websites, I kept seeing this kit and always meant to pick it up. What's really strange is 12 years have gone by and I still haven't built it. I've built variants of the Master Grade Impulse, the Blast Impulse, the Impulse Blanche, the X Impulse, that really cool redesign by Naoki. I've even built the real grade version of the Sword Impulse, but I've never built the one I've wanted, which is the Master Grade. So for me, this has always been a kind of legendary kit. So finally today I'm going to get this thing built and I am super excited. Now this right here is a 14-year-old Master Grade, but it seemed to be legendary status back then, so I still expect it to be fairly decent. But before I even mention anything about the build of the kit, what the kit's like, the review, anything like that, I just have to say this is an absolutely kick-arse box art right here. This is so cool. One of the reasons I've always wanted it. I've seen it on the shelves in Japan, meant to grab it, but just never did because there's so much choice. There's so much going on here. The Sword Impulse looking absolutely threatening, just staring down like an actual giant robot. There's such bulk. We've got the bridge of the ship behind there torn up, absolutely burning up. You can actually see a guy just staring out the window at the arse of the Gundam, terrified. Absolutely ridiculously huge giant sword on one hand, a beam boomerang in the other, a ship in the background capsized, burning up, and a bunch of people on lifeboats just trying to escape. This is one of those box arts that just keeps on going. It just keeps on giving. But yeah, if you do want one of your own, this did come out in 2009, so it might be hard to get. I got mine through BUYEE, and I will leave a link down there in the description just in case you want to pick up one of your own. So when it does come to the build of the Master Grade Sword Impulse, this is pretty much what you would expect from an older Master Grade, but back in 2009, this must have been an absolute masterpiece. Now, by modern standards, of course, this isn't the same level of Master Grade you'd get right now, but it does have a lot of cool old school aspects that just don't exist anymore. It's got a full ABS frame. That does make it a little bit more difficult for painting if you do plan on painting it, but it does mean it is ridiculously strong out of box and has great, strong, powerful joints. There's also some other aspects that I really do miss from older Master Grades. First off, we do have those pilot figures in here, those 1/100 scale little guys. We've got an absolutely ridiculously detailed inner frame, which is something I could take or leave. I never actually have a kit without its armor on. But we do have another thing that I super miss, which is those pistons down in the ankles. Used to see that so much with Master Grades. They're a lot of fun. Besides that though, the build is really good. It does have some old school limitations, like it does feel like you're building for a long time for less payoff than you'd get in a modern kit. You have to build more facets of different parts, and because there is more parts to each part on this kit, that does mean a lot more surface nub marks, which are pretty bad on this kit, especially on the darker colors. So a lot of cleanup will be required in this build. A lot of elements are just made out of 2 pieces snapped together, like a lot of the little wings on the backpack, the beam rifle, etc. Now when it comes to color correcting stickers in here, there aren't really any. This is quite color accurate. All we have in here is the eyes and the head cameras. Now the head camera ones aren't actually foiled, they're just a regular color, which to me would take away from the head cameras entirely, considering we do have clear parts, so I just opted to color them in with a blue Sharpie. The swords in here are awesome, they're massive, they're nicely color separated, and they are nicely part separated too, with some moving and sliding gimmicks, and they do what they need to do. Be a big ass sword. The shield, rifle, etc. all of those are exactly like you'd see in the Master Grade Force Impulse. The shield has a lot going on. And this right here is what the kit looks like, finished with no extra effort whatsoever besides the Sharpie up on the head cameras. Now it does definitely look a little bit plain. Sometimes with Bandai's kits, colors like red can look a little bit overkill right out of box, so it definitely needs some panel lining, and that's exactly what I did. I just grabbed some panel liners, that being the grey flow type, as well as the black flow type, or should I say pour type. This does have an ABS inner frame, so do not use this on any of the ABS parts. Use one of these felt tip ones instead if you are going to panel line the ABS. Finally, I did use some of the stickers that are included in here. We get two types of stickers. That is the regular stick-on style. These do have big wide borders, so you will see them from some angles. And these right here, which I totally forgot existed, these are dry rub-on transfers. These have always been my favorite kind of transfers. They're so easy, you just cut them out, slap them down, rub them until they're attached, and that is it. Done and dusted. No edge, no nothing, but they do scratch off quite easily, so it is recommended top coat. So yeah, this right here is what it looks like with a little bit of extra effort, being the panel lining and the stickers. Now I will mention I did only panel line the front to get this done a little bit quicker. This is going to go up on the shelf, and the only thing that's going to be pointing out the way is the front, so I did not bother with the back. Same with the stickers, I only used one shoulder sticker off the stickers, and the rest are the dry decals, and again I only use them towards the front, and a little bit on the backpack too, which we'll see a little bit later on, but yes. So far this is one cool looking, angular, elongated Gundam, and seeing one in a different color to blue is always extremely nice. Let's delve on a little bit deeper. So jumping right on into the aesthetics, and all I can say is this really does hold up even today. This looks absolutely phenomenal. This has some great angles and some great curves. The proportions on these Seed Destiny kits were really unique and still are. The color separation for the most part is absolutely perfect, and the only thing that really takes away from this is those old school Master Grade hands. Besides that though, this does look immaculate and really, really cool. However, for now we're only going to be taking a look at the mobile suit itself, so I'm going to get that sword striker off of it. I hadn't the core splendor attached in, so we need to get that attached in just like... And that right there is what it looks like attached. So it is still blue, giving us some throwback vibes of the Force Impulse Gundam. So overall, like I said, this is an absolutely fantastic looking kit. There is some aspects of it that are a little bit on the old school side. For example, it has all the one kind of, what can I say, like surface texture across all the plastics. Just a standard glossy color. Even though the armor parts are polystyrene and the joint parts are in an ABS. That ABS skeleton does make this absolutely rock solid, and this just looks so good. Even now, 14 or so years after this thing's launch, it's still as mesmerizing looking to me as when I used to look at it back then online. It just looks so good. This is a absolutely stunning looking Gundam. No matter where you focus on this, it does look incredible, especially with that brand new color scheme. Red is a very rare color for a Gundam, so that is one thing that does make the Sword Impulse look so unique across all of Gunpla, from high grade, master grade, real grade, etc. The head on this looks phenomenal. We've got the classic sticker eyes there, catching the light perfectly. Like I mentioned, I did not use these stickers in the head cameras because they didn't look like they would catch the light too well, and we do have clear parts underneath. But yeah, that detailing honestly is perfect. The only thing we have there is that kind of classic seam line down this side of the head, which kind of bisects it a little bit, but it's not that noticeable, kind of hidden by that cool double V-fin. So when it does come to the individual details, again, this does hold up so well. The head looks mesmerizingly cool. Overall, we do have a lot of nice color separation, including that little V segment right there, and the two shades of white right there, the little yellow segment. It all does look really good. Of course, some things are very old school, like the venting just being recessed parts that you need to panel line. Some venting is fully in the inner frame gray, like that right there. The head has some nice cutaway venting that you can see inside, and around back where I guess it's not as important, that is just kind of molded into the plastic, but does look pretty good once it is lined up. Also, you won't get any kind of gray underneath sections like this, which still kind of happens inside of some modern kits. You do have a little bit right here, but I do recommend giving that a spray in gray, just to give it that kind of dual layered, heavy armored kind of look, but overall, looking fantastic. Like I did mention during the build, we do have some stickers included, so these particular decals are sticker style. Now, I only used the one of these, and actually, it seems like I might have used a couple, so I used a couple of these. First off, we've got the one up there that was cut, that I used up on the shoulder. That is that faith symbol right there. As you can see, it does have a bit of a border around it. If you're feeling really crazy, you could cut around that to make sure it is flush, and then you'll have a perfect, nice sticker decal up on the shoulder. The other ones I did use were these ones down here, which are, what does it say there? Say and so. Those ones I used on the side skirting armor as you're meant to, and that is what they look like right there. So those are pretty cool. I just used those because, well, there's no real reason. I just felt like it. We also do have these. These are my favorite kind of decals of all time. These are rub-on transfers. They're so easy. Just cut them out, pop them down on the surface, and then just rub them onto the surface. They're so good. They're very delicate. Of course, top coat so you don't ruin them. And I did use quite a few of these. So let's go through those one by one. These are some unique placements. I just followed the manual for these guys. These go up on the shoulders, but they are pointed backwards. I guess for when you get the top view, they'll be up there kind of like some kind of aircraft, which is pretty cool. We've got this tiny little Shinasuka one here on the chest. That's something these dry rub-on decals do so well. They can do tiny detailing. The Zaft right here on the front skirting, that's also one of those. These don't actually go on here, but I popped them on because I thought they'd look nice, break up the white a little bit. And there are a couple I used, we'll see later on some of the accessories, but not a whole lot. So now jumping into a bit of a size comparison, and there it is standing there. There is the Sword Impulse side by side with the Granddaddy itself, the RX-78-2. So as you can see, it's just a color swapped, slimmed down variant of that particular one. The actual length to the limbs on the Impulse always to me makes it seem like it might be a little bit taller like the new, but it's about average height. If we ended up with some kind of Gundam multi-universal throwdown, that's the size it would be next to Ariel. That is the Full Mechanics 1100 Gundam Ariel. There's another Gundam mobile suit from another Gundam show, and that of course is the Gundam Age 1 Full Glancer from Gundam Age. Finally, there it is side by side with a high grade, just for the sake of comparison. Finally now into that full 360-degree spin, so you can see all the detail for yourself, all the angles you want to see, and if there's anything I forgot to mention, you might just see what you want to see right here. This has some epic proportions. There's one thing about Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny, actually specifically Gundam Seed Destiny, is the crazy proportions on the mobile suits. This, the Destiny, the Strike Freedom, they all just look over the top and cool. You can say what you want about Gundam Seed or Gundam Seed Destiny, the designs are impeccable, and that goes for the Force Impulse too. This has classic Gundam looks, elongated into a cool style, topped off with a cool red on white color scheme. What is not to like? So there's one thing you can say when it comes to Gundam Seed kits, and that is when it comes to accessories, there's so much inside of the box, and that goes double for this right here. There is so much going on. Weapons wise, we got those two big swords, a shield, a beam rifle, loads of clear effect parts for using with those weapons. On top of that, we've got the sword silhouette pack, we've got the silhouette flyer, we've got a stand for using with the silhouette flyer, we've got two specific hands for holding on to the swords, we've got two pilot figures, and that's not even including all the little bits and pieces in here like the parts for using with the core splendor, the landing gears, etc. All these different odds and ends, adapters, etc. for using with this kit. There is so much inside of it. So first off, we're going to get it into proper Sword Impulse form, but in order to do that, we're going to need some kind of something to trailer in our backpack. So first up in here, we do have the Silhouette Flyer. This does look, what can I say? It looks like the Silhouette Flyer does what it needs to do. Actually, I think it's really cool of Seed kits to actually include this as what's essentially like a bonus. You don't really use it with the mobile suit itself, but it's pretty cool. What we're seeing right here is the landing gears, well, engaged or out or whatever you call it. You can just pop them off like so to have it in flight. You can also use this action-based adapter right here to display it in flight, but you will need an action-based one, the larger type ones, sold separately. However, what we want to see this with is with that sword silhouette pack. In order to attach this onto the pack, we have to extend this little segment out the back that just slides into the pack like so, and that's what it looks like, ready to whoosh around the skies looking absolutely awesome. Actually, this does look pretty damn awesome. I do love the concept of the striker and silhouette packs coming out on jets. That's just cool. If you do want to display it like this but you do not have an action base, well, Bandai did include this little block segment right here for popping it on, which is pretty cool. It does kind of not work that great. You just pop it on like so and it seems to fall to the back a little bit. There might be a knack to it I'm missing somewhat. There it is on the ground, still falling back a little bit, teeter to the back. Getting the Sword Impulse pack onto the Impulse Gundam is pretty simple. You just have to get your Impulse Gundam ready. If I'm not mistaken, this should be in blue before the backpack attaches, but we're going to ignore that fact. Disconnect the silhouette flyer from that silhouette pack, then just slap it onto the back of the Impulse just like so, exploding into a million pieces, optional. So that is what it looks like with the pack attached, and it looks phenomenal. Just the red on red, the V-shaped wings on the background there, just looks absolutely awesome. The whole thing works perfectly for me. I love this Gundam design. There's a lot of cool stuff in the pack to be seen, but first let's get through the stuff that's not as cool. So in here we do have the standard Force Impulse rifle, which is, again, a very nice rifle considering the age of the kit. Moving parts wise, we've got this up here, moves side to side, the sight. The handle actually moves forward and back ever so slightly, so from there to there, as well as a side to side moving handle aspect. This little H-shaped piece sticking out right there, that is the adapter for attaching it onto the booty hole. And we've got a red piece of plastic splitting up all of that grey. White for the side too, these are in plastic. So for me, the biggest letdown about this kit right here is the old Master Grade Wanker's cramp hands. I hate these things, they just don't work that well at all. We've just got a tab in there to hold in the weapons, and you kind of just wrestle the fingers around it just like so and hope for the best. It is just the tab of the palm of the hands that actually holds onto the weapon, and smaller weapons like this, it has no issues with. Thankfully, unlike some other kits that do have the same sort of hands, this doesn't have to hold on to its larger weapons with it, or should I say with them. Next up in here we do have the shield, incredibly nicely detailed just like all of this kit. Extremely well color separated. I did stick one of the decals up top there, that Zaft one. This does have a cool gimmick where it opens up top and bottom just like so, and around back it is predominantly in white, but we do have some grey for this little attachment point which has rotation and a bit of a hinge as well. Due to the two joints present on this, as well as the peg joint that attaches into the arm, it means this can move around quite a bit. You can pop it on just like so, use the hinge to bring it around to the back of the arm, out of the way like this, where it can be brought up for blocking poses. You can also tweak the pose very nicely with the various joints on here. It also means if you do actually get into this position, you can rotate the whole thing around and bring it further up or down the arm depending on where you want it. It is very nice, very tidy, and does everything it needs to do. And with that opening gimmick, this is a very, very nice shield. This right here is something I would love to spend a lot more time on. This right here just attaches into the back of the Impulse Gundam when it doesn't have anything attached onto it, and this is a striker pack attachment point. So that does mean this kit right here is compatible with both silhouette packs, being the Blast, the Force, and the sword that's on it right here, as well as all of the striker packs that are out there, and there is a lot. If you want to see more about striker packs, you can check out my Master Grade Eclipse review, but as for today, I don't have time to go through a backpack fashion show on an older kit review, so that is a little bit sad. Also, before I totally forget to mention, inside of these side-skirting armors, usually we've got the sword, basically a pair of Gundam switchblades, not unlike the armor Schneiders. These just fold out just like so, pop into the hands, but I'm not going to wait around and talk about these. Let's talk about what is exclusive to the Sword Impulse Gundam. So the Sword Silhouette Pack is a multi-weapon system, so there is a whole lot of stuff going on back here, even though at first glance, all you might see is a whopping pair of swords. First off, this little wing section right here, it might look like a boomerang, and in Seed and Seed Destiny, we've got a lot of boomerangs, especially Destiny. This whole segment here can pop off and just be one big old giant boomerang, which is ridiculous. It pops into the hand pretty well, surprisingly, holds on nicely, and at this point I think it's time to get this up on a stand so we can see it in some nice poses with these over-the-top weapons. Now, we'll mention there is no included action base in here. You will have to supply your own when it comes to the action base adapter. This one is unique. As far as I know, a lot of the Master Grade Destiny kits do come with it. It kind of has a little bit of a interesting cover. They have to kind of grab and pull out like so. Then you just slap the base adapter in there. It's a big old chunky adapter that holds on perfectly. And this is what it looks like up in the air. And this is ridiculous. An over-the-top giant boomerang. Seriously. And well, I suppose the best thing about this is we've got two more boomerangs inside this one boomerang. So like I mentioned, inside of this one big boomerang, we've got 2 beam boomerangs. In order to do that, you just pop off the ends just like so. We've got some beam effects in here, and in proper Master Grade Destiny style, plenty of glitter all the way through these. They look so cool and utterly vigorous. I will also mention that these seem to, as far as I can see with the light that I have right here, fluoresce under UV or blue light, which is pretty cool for pink effects. This isn't the case for all pink gunpla effects, so this does look quite nice. It does seem subtle compared to some green fluorescence we see with some other kits, but that's still a pretty cool thing. Now we do have 2 of these, and the one thing that I love about, well, I love a lot of things about this kit, but there's one thing that over the years has always stood out to me, and that is this absolute dynamite pose right here. This just looks so cool, like the sword impulse is winding up to fire off both of these beam boomerangs at once. This just looks so cool. And with the elongated limbs on this particular kit, this is ridiculously dynamic. Once again, this doesn't have the wildest articulation out there. It is extremely good. It is a little bit tame compared to some modern kits, but it's a combination of the articulation, the overall looks, the design, and everything that really does give the finished product the oomph. And this has a whole lot of that. Honestly, this is one of the sickest poses around. And speaking of sick, I must be sick in the head because I've had the backpack wing segment on upside down throughout the entire review. You're meant to spin it after attaching on the pack. So it's an upwards V, like this, not downwards. So now on to what makes the sword impulse, and of course that is that massive pair of swords. Huge! Absolutely gargantuan. Now first off, the important questions. Can the impulse actually reach back to these while they're on the backpack? And the answer is yes. Can grab on and look phenomenal in poses, holding on to that like it's about to unsheath those mighty blades. And speaking of which, to do that you just push them out of the slot like so, and they can come all the way around with the arm too, which is always cool. Now I will mention that the gripping potential of the 2000s-ish Wanker's Cramp hands is really bad. The only thing that actually has any grip is the peg in the palm, and that always gives up on you. Thankfully, Bandai has included a pair of almost what I can describe as pre-posed, high-grade style, sandwich-style hands. That's these type right here. You just pop them open like so, put the sword into them. It doesn't actually click into the peg at all, and then you just pop the top part on, so it does slide up and down in the hands ever so slightly. Popping that on then is just the usual way, and they hold on ridiculously good. All that we have to do from here then is extend the length of that mighty sword, pop in the 2 beam effects. We've got one for the length of the blade, once again sparkly like before, and one for up top, again sparkly and vigorous, just like we would have seen with all the effects in here so far. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, those swords are absolutely ridiculously cool. You can put them in so many poses, they just look so good. And for the most part, these arms can hold onto them quite well. I'm not really having too much in the lines of issues with them drooping or dropping. That is a definite 4 now, underline 4 now. Who's to tell what way a kit will age, but they're holding up quite well. Finally, there is one other option with these, and that is to attach them end to end in that glaive kind of style. And there, that little section just in the bottom, that is to attach 2 of these end to end, just like so. And that right there is what that will look like. That is absolutely ridiculous in the best possible Gundam Seed Destiny kind of way. That is an absolutely massive weapon right there. That is awesome. So now finally onto the articulation. I will mention and apologize that this has to be the short form version because the doggos are off to the vet tomorrow, so I don't really have too much time to spend on this tonight. But I will mention this is rock solid once again, thanks to the fact that this has one of those 2000s ABS inner frames, which makes it rock solid and a little bit more difficult to paint. So when it does come to the articulation on the Master Grade Sword Impulse Gundam right here, this is very good but not fantastic. You will get the vast majority of nice poses that you'll want out of this kit, and it is tuned to do particular poses, which is also awesome, so you'll get some of the cool ones like the boomerang ones that I showed earlier on, etc. On the ground, it doesn't do that great for one main reason, and the only real critical issue with this kit is the articulation, or should I say the pivot at the ankles. There is next to 0 in there, so it means it's not that great on the ground, but this is a kit that looks the best in the air. I'll also mention that there is nothing in the torso either, so no ab crunch and not much rotation either, which does limit it at its core. I will mention two other things though about the articulation, about this kit. Number one, there is a bit of a hidden modification in this kit. In the shoulders we do have these little segments right here, these little flaps that block the arms from moving very forward at the shoulders. Now you can snip these off and it does greatly enhance the articulation at the shoulders. However, this is not allowed to actually go anywhere on the finished kit because of the armor that builds up over it. But if you do cut away some of the armor at the front of the shoulders section, you can get more articulation towards the front, which this kit essentially doesn't really need. The second thing, number two, and that is this kit does have a transformation, but call me a transformationist if you want. I'm not even going to acknowledge its existence. I think it's the silliest thing ever. It's just a crumpled up torso and a crumpled up pair of legs. I'm not going to talk about that. That is, it looks like this. I think it's so not awesome. That's it. That's all the acknowledgement it's getting. But anyway, that right there is it for the review, and this really is a classic Master Grade. Its looks is what works. That and the fact that it has some killer swords. It's a red Gundam with some really nice aesthetics. It's elongated, that cool Gundam Seed Destiny flair, and it has some massive swords and massive boomerangs. It is gorgeous. It does have a couple of small issues when it does come to its visual aesthetics, but nothing really worth mentioning. When it comes to the accessories in here, this thing is absolutely packing. You get so much in here and everything is extremely good. Nothing drops the ball whatsoever. And finally, when it does come to the articulation, this is extremely well rounded. Sure, there are some issues like not great ankle articulation and the torso could be a little bit better, but there is a funny transformation in there which will hinder that to some degree. So on the whole, this is a really good kit and a really good older kit, so I'm gonna give this gold tier. I feel this is better than, I'm not sure if I can actually say better than average for a Master Grade, but there's just something about it. It has a level of magic that makes it a little bit better than the sum of its parts, and a kit that I definitely recommend, especially if you love the Gundam aesthetic, but want a different take on it, a different color, and a different feel, and an excellent loadout. Anyway, I got mine through BUYEE. I will throw a link down there in the description if you do want to get one of your own. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without each and every single one of you guys who watches my videos, and all of these awesome people right here who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including 10 Soldier YT, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Dashel Marmion, Golel Rockstar, Joe, Lauren Sehak, or G95061, 10 Soldier YT again, and Van Fawn.